How's it going, Blitzers? We're going to bring you specifications you can relate to so you can have an educated decision on your purchases. Here we're looking at the WE Arrakis. There's a Elijah Isham knife. This is one that is a beautiful knife, and that's kind of the thing that goes along with a lot of his knives. They're just extremely gorgeous knives, but some of them just don't really have the use that I like for them. So that's kind of what I'm seeing for this as well. So the flipper tab's up on top. So everything goes together. All the lines work out well together. But there's some things about it that I just don't really care for. And we'll kind of go into that in a little bit. So some of the things for also for EDC, people have things like pens. So that's one thing that I want to kind of check out. And so we're actually able to do that. So this is provided by WE for this knife here. This is also provided by WE for their pen. So this is a bolt action pen. There's titanium for it. To change the actual cartridge, you just unscrew the tip and you can change the cartridge there. Personally, this might be different for other folks, but I lose my pens a lot. So that's why I buy like a pack of Bic pens, and then when I go through the lot of them, or somebody else takes my pens, then I'm not too broken up about it. If I can buy another pack of Bic pens. But this is $66.30 for this knife. Oh, not knife, pen. I'm gonna look at knives. So for the pen, so that's quite a bit. So not taken away from anything as far as the milling, and you go to the quality, titanium, but I just don't think it's for me. So what is for me is something that is very inexpensive, and that is the Pocket pens. So if I haven't had them before, so this is my first experience with them. But if you have anything that's going to be kind of a fidget type of pen, this is probably going to be it. It comes in different colors. You also do have an option to pick up a pocket clip. So this is where I got the pocket clip for it. I don't really care for the pocket clip because when I put it in and out of the pocket, it kind of gets caught up kind of right on that edge. So it doesn't really work out too well for that, in my opinion. But this is the way to go. These are $2.82 in the 3-pack, which is the smallest pack you can get. So it does get a little bit less expensive the higher you go for the more pens you get. So a very good way to go with it. And also, even for these, if you actually keep them around for long enough, then you can actually change the cartridge too. So you just grab it with a pair of pin nose pliers, pull out the cartridge, put a new cartridge in there, and then you're ready to go. You also do have all-weather pens too. So let me know as far as what you think about these. What am I missing out on for the actual pens? If there's one out there that I really need to experience. But so far, pocket pens are the way to go. So going back to this one here. So this is going to be the Arrakis again, provided by WE. Thank you very much. So this is going to be one that is an M390 for the blade steel. That's going to be probably the in corrosion resistance. That's going to be about 82nd percentile for hardness, about a 73rd percentile. And then for edge retention, comparison to all the super steels out there, give or take some of them, it's going to be about an 83rd percentile. And just like they do put a little marking somewhere. Put it somewhere. I don't know where they put it. Nope, they put down here. So M390. So that's always kind of the thing about WE as far as kind of a Where's Waldo type of thing as far as how to find what type of steel it is. And then other than the pivot, there's normally not a lot of branding on their knives. So that's one thing that's really pretty interesting. And then one thing that I saw on Nick Shabazz's video, as far as a comparison, so let me know as far as what you guys think as far as what you like for comparison. Normally my mentality before was I was trying to, in my collection or what I had available to me, my comparison would be throwing up knives that were pretty similar, or if you like the other knife, you might like this knife. So that was my initial thought on it. But then otherwise, it was a kind of an idea as far as comparison to sizing. So I do have the hand sizing chart. We'll go into that after. But as far as price point, you could probably pick up one of these. There's going to be the Medford Smooth Criminal. You also do have, so there's a Rat 2, just to get sizing for that. And then you have one of the larger knives. which most people do have, is going to be a buck 110. So that's going to be the sizing for those. So as far as the hand sizing, we'll roll into that for the adult female hand. It is going to be also in that upward position. So that's kind of a comparison so you can actually see how that might fit in your hand. So print out that chart in the description. So it's going to be in that upward position, and you can lay your hand on top of it and see where that's going to fit. So that's how that works for adult female. And then we're going to have the adult male hand as well, so you can kind of see where that is. So I also use the Lyman pull gauge to give you an idea as far as the amount of pressure needed to actually actuate the flipper tab. So that's going to be what I'm going to be using here. So we're going to do that in pounds and see where that is. This one actually is interesting because it has a sub frame lock type of setup. It's kind of a two-part knife. So 3 pounds, 4.6. So that's not bad. So normally you find about 2 to 3 pounds is probably a pretty good rating for it. So that one is a little bit higher, but it's still enjoyable as far as where this flipper tab is actually on the knife. And so it flips out with not much pressure or not much issue. But the issue I do have is on the opposite way, which is the closure. So with the cutout here, it's still a little bit not sharp, but it does have an edge there. So the actual lock bar tension is a little bit higher. So as I actually undo it, that's where it actually is a little bit uncomfortable for that. So that's not really ideal. And then to actually close that down, and also in just rubbing, kind of feeling the knife, there's just a few areas where the knife comes together. So it seems like it's two pieces. So you have the front body, and then you have the underbody, and then the lock bar that are the second piece. So it's a kind of two-part construction for it. But just where it meets the other one, there's some parts that are a little more noticeable and somewhat a little bit sharp. And then even along, again, this might be just this model. The other ones, so it's looking at just one knife. It might have the other one, or the one that you get might be really good. But even where the pocket clip is, there's actually a little piece of metal that kind of is sticking out there. So it actually catches my fingernail as I go across it. So there's a few different things for it. And the reason why I'm being so nitpicky about that is the price of this as far as where it is. So some things as far as pricing where you can kind of let it go as far as how much it costs, and then you kind of go, well, it is this much, so you can expect some little things here and there. At least that's what I think about it. So for this one, it goes for a price of $330. So for me, that's quite high. Again, a lot of milling, a lot of work that goes into it, a lot of time, but that's where I'm a little bit more nitpicky about those little things as far as the fit and finish of it, as far as being able to feel the places where the two parts meet, having a little sharp part by the thumb, the actual thumb stud, but the pocket clip. It's not really something that I would expect for $330. That's where I would expect it to be just completely well done, have really smooth transitions, not have a little piece of metal sticking out by the pocket clip. That's not really the best for that. Again, just this model, so the one that you get might be fantastic. So this one has, as far as the deployment method, there's kind of two ways to go about it, and then that's about it. So you do have just the regular flipper as far as the light switch, and then you can do a little pinch and roll type of thing to get it open as well. That's a little bit more difficult to do that, but it does not open with inertia. That's one thing about this one. But the blade steel, blade shape is going to be a Wharncliffe 3.5 inches flat grind, and also another thing that I'm adding into some of the reviews, a lot of the reviews have behind the edge thickness, which is a good thing, but I gotta try and figure out a better way to communicate that, because I was going off as far as pieces of paper, so you can see the behind the edge thickness. So I think I'm gonna go and like cut a piece of cheddar cheese or something with it to get some resistance. I gotta figure that out still, but that's what I'm gonna try and figure out. But the one thing that I do kind of look at with a knife is the amount of degrees it takes to get onto the blade. So if you see from the full open position to the closed position, or actually onto the blade, that's going to be about 23 degrees. So I find that about 15 degrees is pretty great for it. So this one's a little bit higher than that, even probably 20 degrees, but it's kind of nominal as far as where that is. But as far as the carry side, there's going to be tip up right hand only, so you cannot flip that over to the other side for that pocket clip. And this one actually did, it is a pass around knife, but this one came in with a sharpness of 368. So as far as that, it's probably one of the dullest knives I got from WE, because it's going to be kind of the dullest portion of new high-end cutlery for the knife. So not only do you get the fit and finish issues, it's also at the belly of the knife was about 368 as far as that sharpness test. So it's almost to the point where it needs a little bit of work to it. So that's where not the best for there. So I'm on the fence of borrowing or avoiding the knife as far as my recommendation for it. That's going to be really up to you as far as if you really love the design, if you are one that just collects from Elijah's knives. So if you actually have that running thing where you just always buy his designs, well, then pick it up. I think you'll be happy with it as long as you get a good model. This one, not so much. So that's where my recommendation is for it. But for the WE Arrakis, this is a 906C. Check it out if you like it. Mine is a borrow or avoid for it. Let me know in the comments down below as far as what you think, and thank you very much for your time.